the way it just hit me here. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
uh, Yesterday, Cole Beasley did not have a target in the first half. I don't want to, give blueprints or anything like that, but were they doing something that were taking him away, or was it just kind of opportunity just didn't present itself once Josh had the ball in his hands?
Yeah, the second. Yeah. I mean, give credit to Tennessee. They did a good job. Made more plays than we did. Turned the ball over twice in critical situations to open up the game, and then really to open up the second half with that 14-play drive there. Just didn't get enough done to give ourselves a chance.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Hey, Brian, John Scott.
Hey, John.
How big of an impact was it not having John a part of the mix? We've seen obviously the offense operate with him, but how big of an impact without him truly was that?
Well, of course, you miss your guys that aren't able to go out there, that are, have been good players for you, but we have confidence in the guys that stepped in and played for him. It takes all of us. It's just not a one-man show. It takes everybody, starting with me. And, just didn't get enough done this game to give ourselves a chance.
Still, it seemed like the connection between Josh and Stephon was really working there. I know it's Josh makes the decisions, but with John Brown not playing, was he maybe looking at Stephon even more? Or does that show also how advanced he and comfortable he is with him in short order?
Yeah, we moved Steph around a little bit. He played a couple different spots for us, as did Gabe. And, those are the adjustments you have to make, going into a game. And, you go out and see if somebody's ready to go. And if they're not, you got to have those adjustments ready. We had, I think he had 16 targets. So, look, at the end of the day, we just didn't get it. We didn't get it done.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, Vic.
More of a broader based question. I know others are going to ask, and as they should, about last night, but I just want to widen this. In the 5 games so far, there's been a lot of variety to play calling. It looks like game plan design, everything. And obviously the sense is that you've based everything on, again, strengths, weaknesses of your opponent, but work through the thinking, if you could, for me, about that. It seems like it's even been more varied than what we've seen from you in this role. And what's been the thought process behind, again, in a broader sense?
Yeah, you try to put your guys in the best position you can, and the guys that are going to be at the game, you try to utilize them, whether it's a certain small package or a bigger package. I wish we could have done more for them yesterday, but that's what we try to do every week is put them in good positions. It was a tough game how it went. It was close, and we go out there the first series and just misconnect on a third down play, and then have a long drive, which was we knew was going to be the case. They were doing a good job of taking all the deep stuff away. Then we come back. We had a penalty on a 3rd and 1 play, which put us in a bad spot. And then another long drive for a field goal. But, we try to utilize all our guys the best we can to give ourselves the best chance that we can. We'll always do that. Just unfortunate we didn't get it done yesterday. Give credit to Tennessee.
And your comfort level in doing just that, involving all those people, but the kinds of plays you've called, the kinds of game plans you put together, how much of that has been influenced by the additional experience that Josh has now into this year, and the added, adding a guy like Diggs, of course, and your other the people that have been added in the last 2 seasons?
Sure. Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's probably a combination of everything. It'll always start with the quarterback and what he feels most comfortable with. And then you need pieces around him that he can distribute the ball to, and guys to block for him. But I think it's just it's a continual work in progress. It has been since Josh has been here, along with me and the rest of the staff. And that's kind of how we operate week to week.
And lastly, how have you evolved as a coordinator? How do you think you've evolved? I don't mean grading yourself. I just mean your thought process through this point in your career.
Yeah, you learn from your past, both good and bad, and you try to improve your leadership qualities, um, both in good times and bad times. Plays are plays. The system that you grow up in, the people that you learn from, you try to continually involve and learn new things as you go. Your staff that you work with has a big play in it. But in terms of just the leadership and being able to handle certain things, in game adjustments and calls and that, there's experience always helps with that. But really it's about dealing with people, again, after wins and after losses, and making sure that you can stay on track with a positive attitude and take accountability for your team, for your offense.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Hey, Dabes, you guys got a pretty big stage here on Monday night playing against the Super Bowl champions. What can you say just about the opportunity that this team has to bounce back against a team like the Chiefs on Monday?
Yeah, it's the next week for us. It's how this league is. You're not going to win all the games, and you have to play good football to give yourself a chance. And even if you play really, really good, you might not have an opportunity to win. Every team in this league is good, and we're playing a team that had just won the last year's Super Bowl, and they're on a roll and doing really good things with really good players with a really good scheme. So it's an opportunity to come back out and have a good week of practice and put your best foot forward the next week, and it'll be on us here pretty quick.
I guess watching the Chiefs and just seeing how they put that offense together and do things that a lot of other offenses don't do in the NFL. When you have the chance to, or if you ever do watch any of their games, I know you're doing that this week, but you're watching more defense than offense. But I guess what strikes you about the way that they call that offense and the way they use some of those players that are pretty unique to the NFL?
Yeah, I think that's a good question for Leslie coming up here. We got our hands full with the other side and the players, and Frank and Chris Jones and all those guys that are going to be a challenge for us. There's certainly a very complete, well-balanced team, but my focus right now, is on the other side.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it.
Yep. Sorry.
No worries.
Hey, Brian, it's Kim Jones. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Hi, Kim. How are you?
Hi, good, thank you. I wish I knew how to ask a better question that I'm going to ask, but I don't. What is the main difference between the Josh that we mostly saw in the first 4 games and the one last night who after the game conceded that on that pick intended for Davis, he got greedy. The underneath stuff was there, but he got greedy. Like, how is that? I know it's the same guy and I'm not expecting him to be perfect, but how would you describe the difference in his quarterbacking in the moment so far this season? Like I said, the first games, I know I'm getting too long here. And then
no, that's okay. No, I understand what you're asking. Look, Josh has been a consistent player for us. And I know he said that after the game. He had that, he had that play where he, it was almost a kind of a missed throw. When he let it go, you could see his body language when he threw it. I have very strong confidence in him. He's improved since he's been here. Obviously, we'd like to have a couple of those plays back that we had last night, but that goes for everybody, starting with me. So I appreciate him more than he knows. And he's a leader and he's a grinder.
Brian, if I may follow, I have described him as the most publicly self-aware quarterback I've ever covered, because he is willing to say, I took the blame. It's on me. And a lot of guys say we. You're nodding. I mean, am I onto something there? It's just so impressive to me the way he'll take individual responsibility in what is the greatest team sport.
Yeah, I think that's what leaders do. You take accountability for things not going right. And he's always the first one to step up to the plate. And you appreciate about that because he's your leader. And I think it's important as a leader to accept responsibility when things aren't exactly the way you want them, whether it's yours or not.
Yeah.
That's important.
Thank you. I apologize for the sloppy question
okay.
today.
No worries.
Hey, Brian, it's Jay with the Buffalo News. Devin has been at 56 yards or less in 4 of your 5 games this season. What do you put your finger on as to maybe why you haven't been able to get him going as much as you'd like?
Probably a lot, Jay. Obviously we've thrown the ball here early and often, and at the end of the day, we gotta put him in good position to go ahead and produce for us. He's done a lot of good things for us. We got to keep on as a coaching staff, do a good job to help him out and help the rest of the guys out.
And then with Josh on the ground, we ask you after every game when he runs a lot and has a lot of yardage, if you feel like he's running too much. Now here over the last month or so, he hasn't really run a lot and, at least yardage wise hasn't produced a lot. So I guess it's only fair to ask you if he's running enough and or if maybe that's something that you could look to bring back a little bit more here going forward.
Yeah, Jay, we don't have a tally on how many times we want him to run or not run. We want him to make the right decision. So, whether we, run an RPO or we run a zone read or if that entails him taking it and running or a scramble play and making a loose play like he did last night, great. I think he's done a good job of protecting himself in those situations. And, if that's going to help us win, absolutely. So that's pretty much what I got for you.
I know. I had to try. Appreciate it.
No, that's okay.
All right.
Hey, Brian, John Warrow, AP. How you doing?
Good, buddy. How are you?
Good. Without John Brown yesterday, how much did his absence hurt you in stretching the field and lead to the Titans kind of like making sure they don't get beat deep? And how much do you worry? How much of a concern is that other teams might be able to do that and force Josh to have to produce 14, 15 play drives like he had to yesterday?
Yeah, John, I think that's a good question for the teams we play. Each of them are going to have a different philosophy of what they want to try to accomplish. You could tell fairly early on what the plan was there, which is fine. If they're going to be strong somewhere, you got to go ahead and take what you can get early and often. And sometimes that's going to lead, look, we had a 14-play drive, a 14-play drive, a 12-play drive, an 18-play drive. And those are hard to have in this league because a lot of things have to go right. And inevitably, you're usually going to have a couple hiccups in there. If they're taking away deep balls, then you have to do something else. Where they're strong, then there's also spots that they're weak, and you have to have the patience to do that. Again, I think that part of it too was, the game itself. It was 7-7, and it was 14-7, it was 14-10, it was 21-10, and we're driving down there. I think we had 2 possessions minus the one with Matt in the second half to try to get, make it 21-13, maybe 21-17. And we turn the football over. So the flow of the game and you got to try to get them out of that, whether you get up by score, it gets a little bit closer. But if they're playing deep, by certain, we don't want to just, force the ball into coverage.
Because I guess my question is, was that how much do you need to work on? How much does Josh need to work on being patient, acknowledging he got greedy? Because if that was the plan by Tennessee, it certainly worked because although you had a couple of long drives, the one drive where you needed to score, he threw a pick.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was that's going to happen at times. I don't have any concerns about Josh with that.
Last thing is, it's about Andy and among offensive coordinators like yourself, how much do you look up to a guy who has such a reputation as an offensive mind and what he's been able to do? I'm not saying but how much do you admire guys like Andy Reid who've been able to do what they've done for such a long time?
Yeah, a lot. I was fortunate to work with one for a long time. Guys like Coach Reid and Coach Belichick and guys that have been able to do it for a long time in this business are, very, very successful for a reason. And, as a younger guy in this business, when I first started, you watch those guys, you see how they handle certain things. I've never been on a staff with Coach Reid, but I know there's a bunch of guys here that have, and just got a tremendous amount of respect for him. And, how he handles his things, how he runs his football team, and what he seems to be as a man.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Josh Reed here. I know coaches a lot of times will say that they can find a lot out about their team, when they face a little bit of adversity. This will be the first game that you're going into after you start struggling a little bit on offense. How interested are you in seeing how the guys kind of respond to everything?
Josh, we try to be consistent each week, whether we win or in this case, whether we lose. I think consistency is part of leadership. You can't be one way when you win and one way when you lose. You correct the things you need to correct, whether you win or whether you lose, and you move on to the opponent with strong conviction, a good week of practice, doing everything you can do to prepare for the team that you're about to play. And that's all we can control.
Kind of to your point, did you see the video of Josh going up and down the bench at the end of the game, shaking the defense? Looked like a lot of defensive players' hands and kind of trying to look like he was just kind of trying to rally everybody. And what were your thoughts when you saw that video?
I'm not surprised. Josh is a good leader for us. It's a tough game we play. It's a tough game we coach. You like to be perfect. That's what you set out to do. But you're going to face obstacles like you mentioned in your first question. You're going to face adversity. And you have to handle it with a clear mind. You have to handle it with the right attitude. And you have to lead. And it's not always easy to lead when things are, not exactly the way you want them to be. But that's what we try to do. We try to stay consistent with our approach, make no excuses, support one another, and move on to the next opponent as really as quickly as we can. Again, after a win or a loss.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Coach Daboll, Mookie Hawkins, Waffle Sports 1080. Good afternoon.
Hey, Mookie, how are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Teams are going to do exactly what you said. They're going to lay back. They're going to see those 3-man pressures or 4-man pressures, and take what they're giving you, the underneath route. But Tennessee was giving up 166 yards on the ground. So
yeah.
What did they do? What did they do that was so difficult for you guys to get the run game going?
They play with good fundamentals.
Good fundamentals.
They play with good fundamentals and good technique and shed blockers and made tackles. And, they did a good job. We need to do a good job. It starts with us as a coaching staff of helping that out.
Right. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it, because I see McKenzie just walked right in on those jet sweeps. So I was kind of figuring like, hey, maybe they start doing some sweeps with Motor or doing some delayed draws with Allen, since they're going to lay back in coverage. But how do you get that balance going in the run game to balance out, what you guys are doing in the passing game?
Yeah, you work at it. And at the end of the day, it's going to come down to whether it's double teams or one-on-one blocks and good reads and force and setting up a play design. And it's, not unlike the passing game. It takes everybody for it to work. And it's not always going to be pretty. And that's where our focus is.
Right. And I care to talk about, before I let you go, Coach TJ Yeldon, his performance out there yesterday.
Yeah, DJ did some nice things for us. It picked up some short yardages and then caught that ball down there in the red zone from Josh. And TJ's a dependable guy for us. He's been since he's been here. Whenever his number is called, we expect him to go in there, and that's the approach that he takes.
Absolutely, Coach. Big game this week. I know you guys have, prepare well. Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thanks, Dave. You're good to go.
Thanks, guys.